Welcome to the After Spin, opinions from thought leaders in our state. I want to ask Cash Michaels and Joe Mavretic, even though it's 2 years away, there's more controversy about the 2020 census than any we can remember. It focuses on two main points, questions that are going to be asked. The first is whether a respondent is an actual citizen of this state, has a valid certificate, or perhaps might be an illegal immigrant. The second has to do with a person's sexual persuasion and ask whether relationships of the opposite sex are of the opposite sex or same-sex unions. What do you think about these questions, Joe Mavretic?
Well, first of all, I think that the question about are you an American citizen is a valid question. As a matter of fact, I think that that is the most valid question about all of the issues surrounding this. You are either an American or you are not. And I think that's a valid question. I think the second question about your sexual orientation is an invasion of privacy and should not be allowed.
Interesting. Now, the American citizen question was on census forms many years ago, was it not?
Absolutely it was. I'm told, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I'm told that in France, their census says, are you a Frenchman or not?
Yeah. Cash Michaels, your comments on this?
We're not in France. And number two, the census, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong, but my research tells me that they're in the business of counting people, not citizens. And so thus, it should be about counting people. And then in regard to sexual orientation, I thought I saw something recently where they decided not to put that question forth in the census. And a lot of the LGBT groups actually want it on there because they
Interesting.
Because they feel that it's about time that we actually show or have some reflection of how much of the population is indeed part of that part of the population. Whether or not it's an invasion of somebody's privacy or whatever, you know, that goes without saying, but they actually want it on there. But as far as citizenship is concerned, the census is not supposed to be counting citizens, it's supposed to be counting people.
I didn't say, wait a minute now, I didn't say anything about counting people or not counting people. I said you get asked a basic question in the count. Are you an American citizen or are you not?
Yeah.
Well, there are only two answers there. They're either yes or no, but the aggregate is the census of all people.
There's a third answer. Why even ask it if we're only counting people? How many people are in your household is what the census is asking.
If that's your
not how many American citizens are in your household.
Cash, if that's your question about the census, then how many questions should not be asked in the census?
Well,
my gracious.
Well, as a matter of fact, I'll give you the answer. As many questions as are being politicized should not be in the census. It should be about fact-finding, not determining political leverage.
But then you would have to go back at least 100 years to eliminate the political questions that have always been embedded in the census.
I know they did it during the 1950s. This is not the 1950s.
That's exactly right. Times change, but the census does too.
Thus,
100 years ago, I was just a pup. Well, thank you for watching the After Spin. We'll have more video all during the week on ncspin.com.